The Super Mario effect is a concept created by Mark Rober, and as a psychology grad student, I'm breaking down how it works so you can trick your brain into learning more. Playing a standard Mario game, the goal is to get through the obstacles to get to the end of the level, and after beating enough levels, you get to save the beloved Princess Peach from the evil clutches of Bowser. And as we know, this is no easy task. You're gonna die over and over trying to beat any given level. But Mark Rober's point is that when you die in Mario, you don't immediately give up and stop playing the game. Instead, you think, oh, there's a pit there, and you learn from your previous mistake to jump instead of just running into the pit again. You're focused on the end goal of beating the level as opposed to the obstacles that stand in your way. As coined by Mark Rober, the Super Mario effect is focusing on the princess and not the pits to stick with the task and learn more. To understand how to use this for your success, you have to first understand where it came from. Mark conducted an experiment in which people were split into two groups and given a coding puzzle. If a person in group A failed the puzzle, they were given a message to try again. But if a person in group B failed the puzzle, they lost 5 points. But the kicker is, the points mean nothing. But the people who lost make-believe points succeeded at the puzzle significantly less than the people who didn't lose points, and they attempted the puzzle on average less than half as many times. In psychology, this is known as loss aversion, and it's the idea that we hate losing stuff more than we like getting stuff. So clearly, the pressure of failing and potentially losing something can cause us to give up on our goals way faster. But what is it about Mario games that keeps us focused on our goal despite failing on loop? Well, firstly, when you die in a Mario game, you don't really lose much and you always have more lives. But you want to keep trying to beat that level due to what is known as the Self-Determination Theory, which essentially states that we're motivated to do things that fulfill our intrinsic needs of competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Let's start with autonomy, or feeling as if you're in control, which Mario games do by simply putting you in control. You control whether Mario moves left, right, jumps, ducks, ground pounds, whatever you want to do, the power's in your hands. Not to mention, the controls are super simple. I mean, it's basically just moving and jumping. Relatedness is your basic desire to feel connected with others, and I'll let Mark explain how Mario does this one.
When Super Mario Brothers came out, my friends and I became obsessed. We get to school and ask each other, like, dude, what level did you make it to? Did you pass the game? The most meaningful high fives of my adolescence were those when I said, dude, I finally beat Bowser last night.
Mark's motivated to reach the end of a level so he could talk about it with his friends, feel a part of the group, feel connected with them, and maybe even get some pats in the back for his accomplishments. Now, the need for competence is where this gets interesting. I want you to imagine what it felt like when you played your first ever Mario game. On the first level, things start out pretty easy. Maybe you die a couple times here or there, but when you eventually beat the level, you've gotten a little bit better at the game. And as you load into level 2, you'll notice that this level is a little bit more difficult than the first level. And as you progress through the game, the difficulty of the levels get harder and harder, but you get better and better. In an ideal world for the game developer, the difficulty of the level and your skill at the game are increasing at the same rate. If the game was too easy, you'd quickly get bored and stop playing the game, and if the game was too hard, you'd quickly get frustrated and stop playing the game. Mario and other games try to keep you in what is known as flow state, in which you're in the zone or fully engaged in the game. So to achieve your goals and to learn more, you just gotta do what Mario's always taught you. Pick a goal you have control over and keep the barrier to entry pretty low. Make sure the goal isn't too easy, but also not too hard as a means of keeping you in flow state. Talk about your goal with friends or even have a friendly competition to see who can achieve the goal first. Try to minimize the effects of loss aversion, or at the very least, use it to your advantage. A good example of incorporating these ideas is something like Duolingo. You have control over which language you'd like to learn, and the barrier to entry is really low. I mean, it's a free app. They start with really basic vocab and eventually move to more complicated sentences as you get better at the language to keep you in flow state. It's always a fun topic of conversation or even competitiveness with friends, and they heavily use loss aversion by giving you a daily streak. You don't want to lose your streak, so you'll be back on the app tomorrow to make sure that number doesn't go away. Now, I don't know what applying these ideas may specifically look like in your life, but I do know that if you do apply these ideas, you'll have a much better chance at success. Mark Rober's original TED Talk is linked in the description below, and I made an announcement in my previous video, but we'll wait a little bit longer to address it, and I'll see you next time.